to I've Run Out of Things to Say podcast. My name is Vincent, and I'm here with my co-host Cody.
What's going on?
And Cody, we have a special guest today. Who is this special guest?
Rad Cosplay.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Rad Cosplay, Rebecca or Rad, you guys can call me, either one. I am a super passionate cosplayer. I've been doing it for a couple years now, and I'm excited to be on talking to you.
Well, we like having you on here. So, one of the biggest things is that we found you through a couple of different podcasters who actually suggested you.
Oh, really?
Yep. We had a couple other ones. So they said that if we were looking for cosplayers to interview, that you'd definitely be one. So how did you get into cosplay?
So I started with cosplay all because of a video game called Borderlands. It's my Borderlands 2 especially is my favorite game of all time. I pick it up at least once a week. And so my roommate at the time, I was living in Atlanta, grew up there, and my roommate at the time really wanted to cosplay Krieg and was trying to get me into it. And I was like, I don't know if I should. I don't really have the skill set for it. I'd never really done anything creative at all in my life. I was always a science person. So,
Nice.
So, we were kind of tossing the idea back and forth and kind of trying to decide, what character would I want to do if I did do this? And then 2K did their cosplay contest back in 2014 for Borderlands, the pre-sequel. Mm-hmm. And so I said to Josh, why don't we just go all in? If I'm going to do this, let's just go balls to the wall and and see how good we can make it. So he helped me out, taught me almost everything I know, and we used that cosplay guide to get started on Athena. So I did Athena from Borderlands, the pre-sequel, and so cosplayed for the first time at Dragon Con that year. Did not win the contest, but that ended up being a good thing. And yeah, just fell in love with the community, fell in love with the art of it, and been doing it ever since.
So how many characters have you actually done as cosplay now?
Everyone always asks this question, and I never remember to count before I go on a podcast, because I know they're going to ask that. Shoot. Let me think. Close to 10 now. About 5 a year.
Wow, that's amazing.
Thanks.
So, who's your favorite character to cosplay as?
Oh man, my favorite right now is Aphrodite 9. That was one of my first comic book cosplays that I ever did. And I just really fell in love with the character. It was so much fun to do. And it was really, really cool for me because that was a cosplay where going into it, I said, I'm going to see how cost effective I can make this. How cheaply can I do a really good put together cosplay? And I think all told, I spent like $50. So that one was really, really fun. And it's cool because it's not a lot of people know who she is. Not a lot of people have read the comics. So it's really cool getting to share that with people, to be able to tell them like, oh, it's from this comic book, you should check it out, it's really great. And that's been a lot of fun. So she's probably my favorite.
That's amazing. Now you're talking about being cost effective. How much does it usually cost to go through one character?
Oh man,
like a really good one.
A couple $100 easily. Yeah, just between materials and everything. I mean, I'm always looking for ways to save money, obviously, because cosplay is a very expensive habit. But especially if you have like a big armor build. I mean, I've got some now. My biggest builds I haven't even finished yet. They're kind of sitting in pieces around my workshop right now. But they're going to be about $300 when everything's said and done. So
yeah, that's pretty expensive.
Yeah.
Now, when you're just designing one character, how long does it usually take you to design one? If you're going for, say, the most detailed that you can be with that character.
So I get bored on one character really, really easily. So I try and not really bounce around, but split up my time between characters as much as possible. But I try not to take too long with it because after a while it just feels like I'm never gonna finish. I should just move on to something else. So I try and keep it around like 2 months.
2 months, okay.
Yeah, no more than
So, what was the longest one that you actually had to make? How long did it take you?
that. The longest one that I have completed is probably Black Widow. What's going to end up being the longest one is I'm currently working on Imp Mercy from Overwatch, and that's taking forever. That's going to be my longest one by the time it's all done. I'm maybe halfway done, and it's been a couple months already, so I've been really bad about that.
That'll be crazy.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Mm-hmm. Now, you said you did Black Widow. When you do Black Widow, you have a organization that you work with where you actually go and do for a charity?
I do. So my fiance and I run a nonprofit called Cap for Kids, and we are a 501c3 public charity. We do hospital visits as Captain America and Black Widow. We also bring the other Avengers with us. In addition to that, we also raise money for families that have kids undergoing cancer treatment, and we just kind of sponsor them. We might take over their car payment for a couple months, or take over their mortgage, or anything to kind of help them out financially, because cancer treatment is such a huge, expensive monster. Any little thing we can do to help.
And how long have you had that organization going now?
So, my fiance, before he and I met, he kind of unofficially started it. He would do the hospital visit side of things, and he would take a little bit of money in donations, but it wasn't an organization in itself. Everything that he took was just funneled through to like Children's Hospital, or Brent's Place is another great cancer charity that's out here in Denver. And when I met him, I had kind of pitched the idea, like, I love what you're doing. What if we actually made this into a real 501c3? And so in 2015, we started kind of slowly working on the paperwork for that. Became an organization in the state of Colorado at the beginning of 2016, and we got our 501c3 designation in June last year. So still pretty new.
Yeah. So what's the website if anybody wants to go and donate then?
Capforkids.org. That's CAPFORKIDS.org.
That's definitely a better benefit than some of the benefits locally around here.
So, well, and then getting back onto the whole cosplay thing, you said that one of your first times doing it was to do it for competition. How often do you do competitions now?
Not very often. It's just not really my cup of tea. Like, I like to do it because I like to take photos, and I like to hang out with my friends that are doing cosplays in the same universe, and I love doing it for the kids. So I've entered a couple of competitions as just like, oh, I've got nothing better to do today. But I've never really pursued that all that much.
Okay. So then do you do a lot of cons then, like Comic-Con and
Oh yeah,
Blizzards?
that's a huge thing. We've got a ton of them here in Colorado. I mean, it feels like there's one a weekend. Most of them are on the smaller side, like less than 10,000 people. Denver Comic-Con in the summer, of course, is massive. It's like one of the top 5. But in addition to all those Colorado cons, I do try and travel to other bigger cons as much as possible. Hoping to do Kamikaze this year. I've got KatsuCon coming up. I do Dragon Con every single year. That's my favorite con, hands down.
That's a big one.
Yeah, it's such a good con. It's unlike any other one in the nation. And there's a couple of others I want to do. I want to do C2E2.
That's up by us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you do, let us know, because obviously
definitely.
We'll come up and actually see it, because we usually go and do a recording up at C2E2.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I'll definitely let you know. most of when we do travel for these cons, it is kind of for the charity. Like we network with as many people as possible. We've got great connections with some of Stan Lee's team. They help us out. They love what we do. We get signatures from him that we put on these movie quality Captain America shield replicas, and that's kind of our big marketing promotion for the year. We give one away every year, so he's a big help to us. So a lot of when we travel to cons, it's to make those connections, spread the word about what we do, things like that.
That's crazy. So have you actually met Stan Lee then, or?
I have not, and I'm very sad about that. But my fiance did, and he's like spitting image Captain America, looks just like him. And it was funny because he met Stan Lee at Kamikaze, just was very nice, got a signature from him, and then these two huge like security guys walked up to Sterling, my fiance, and they said, you need to come with us, someone would like to meet you. And Sterling was like, what did I say? Who did I offend? And so they brought him around back, and there was this little old woman sitting there, and she came up to him and she said, I just wanted to tell you that you look just like Steve Rogers. And one of the security guys leans over and whispers, that's Stan Lee's wife. And so Sterling was all like heart aflutter over that. So that's one of his favorite stories, is meeting Mrs. Lee.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yep.
That's crazy. So now, your fiance Sterling, how long has he been doing cosplay then?
Around the same amount of time that I have. He started specifically for the hospital visits. He had read about Lenny, the guy out in Massachusetts who was doing hospital visits as Batman.
Yeah.
And he had friends try and get him to cosplay for a while, but he was like, I just don't have time, I don't have the money. But then when he read about Lenny, he was like, well, if Batman can do that, then so can Captain America. And so that same summer, right before I met him actually, he had started putting his Captain America together.
Oh, that's amazing. So now, I've seen his cosplay too. I've been kind of perusing and stuff. He definitely does look like Steve Rogers. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, he does. He looks amazing in his cosplay. He looks great. So how did you guys meet? Was it at one of the cons then?
Yeah, so it was at Dragon Con, and that's a big reason why we do that one every year, because it's kind of our anniversary con. It was one of those things, like, before I met him, I was such a big, like, cynic and skeptic, true love doesn't exist, blah, 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 like, just one of those people. And then he's a huge Borderlands fan as well, so he came up to me and said, oh my god, I love your cosplay. Do you mind if my brother takes a photo of you? His brother had a big camera. And I was like, no, that's fine. And like, it was, when we locked eyes, it was like the whole con fell away, and just every cliche, it's all true. So, he takes the picture, and I like want to talk to him more, but my roommate said something to me. I turned to him, and when I turned back, Captain America was gone. So, I was like, all right, whatever. It wasn't meant to be. That's fine. So we're leaving the hotel, and I run into him again. This is like maybe 15 minutes later. And Sterling said, my brother just ran off somewhere. Do you mind if I get a photo on my phone? And I said, that's fine, as long as we take a selfie. Totally meaning to be like, that's so cute. Here's my number. You should send it to me. Yeah, but I was so just starstruck. I was like, okay, bye. And I just walked away. And I was kicking myself for 3 days. Like, I'm never going to find this guy. All I knew was his first name. I thought he had given me a fake name because I couldn't even find him on Facebook. I'm like, who was named Sterling? That's such a weird name. But he posted our selfie on Instagram, and a friend of mine who was just scrolling through the Borderlands hashtag found it. Nice. And tagged me in it. And so we started talking on Instagram, and then Facebook, and then Skype and phone calls, and 3 months later I actually moved from Atlanta to Colorado to be with him.
That's a big change, Atlanta to Colorado.
Oh yeah.
So, but that's an amazing story. That's always good too. I mean, it's always nice when you find that person. That's probably like the geekiest love story I've ever heard. Man. So,
Cool.
Yep.
but it's cool. I mean, you know.
For you, But, I actually got a question. I've very badly wanted to go to at least like a con or like a PAX or just anything, like really bad. And are those events like cliquey, just like anything else? Are they cliquey? Is there the cool geeks and the not cool geeks?
It depends on which one you're going to. It depends on what capacity you're going in. A lot of the cons are really, really great because it's just, especially the bigger cons, because everyone's there for the same reason.
Who can geek harder? Just like who can be a bigger badass? Who can be a bigger like everything?
You definitely
like
get that.
Else? Is it just anything else?
You definitely get that at a lot of the smaller cons because everyone kind of like knows everyone and can eye everyone.
Yeah.
Any con that's over like 70,000 people, there's just so many people there. You just can't be worrying about all of that because there's so many people there. So you don't get a lot of that at like Dragon Con's fantastic. It's 75,000 of your closest friends is the way we always like to describe it. The only PAX that I've been to is PAX South, which I wasn't crazy about. It was very it was the newest one. It had just been taken over by the Penny Arcade guys weren't running it anymore. It was just taken over by Reed Pop, I think, when we went, and it felt very like Fan Expo. It didn't feel like a PAX, so I wasn't crazy about that one. Dragon Con is the one I always suggest to people. If it's all mostly adults, very little like kids and families running around, and it's a giant non-stop, never-ending party. It takes place in hotel rooms, it takes place in hotel like ballrooms and stuff, not a convention center. So there really is no end time. It just goes until whenever people get tired. So that's definitely the best one.
Now, you said that you've been to PAX South. Did you ever go to, like, the RTX then?
No, I haven't. I want to, but I haven't made it out there yet.
That's our next year one that we're actually going to be going to.
Cool.
Yeah, that's we're in the process of getting a booth for it.
Awesome.
Yeah, so. Well, yeah, you always get news on this. So, yeah, that's a lot of things we've been getting contacted by people. So
we're like blowing up super quick.
Awesome.
Not really like. We're getting a lot of stuff, like, we just started 3 months ago, literally.
Oh, okay.
4 months ago.
It's been about 6 months, actually.
6 months?
Yeah.
Damn, dude. And we're like,
yep.
We got sponsors going, like,
Awesome.
Like, holy cow. Like, we were expecting to do it for, like, a year, or, like,
yeah,
2
definitely.
years, or, like, Loot Crew, or whatever sponsors, you know? Like, holy cow, or like, what? What? Like, literally like 3 months into it, four months into it.
Yeah, it's been a weird ride for us on that end. I mean, we've got to interview a lot of crazy people too. We interviewed Marty Dandy from the Zombie Dandies.
Have you heard of them?
No, I haven't.
Look them up.
They're
okay,
amazing.
I will.
Yeah, he's from what is it? It's Normandy, right?
Normandy,
yeah, he's in Normandy, France. Yeah, and he
that's awesome.
He's just like in Normandy, their like second language is just English, so it was just so cool to interview him and everything.
Yeah.
Now, bringing him up, there's a reason why, is because we asked him, and every time we interview anybody, is we ask for their nerdiest time in their life, like the nerdiest time you've ever had,
man.
and then you'd like to hear that story.
Mm-hmm. What was the nerdiest time of your life?
Oh man, okay. The nerdiest time in my life would probably be, so I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. That's like my number one. Yeah. That's my number one anything. And so I started reading it when I was pretty young. And when I turned 11 and I didn't get my Hogwarts letter, I cried. I was so upset. I was inconsolable for like a week. I just really wanted not only for it to be real, but me to be a Muggle born and like, you know, surely that this is actually real, and it wasn't, so I was very upset.
That you know of, because maybe you just weren't picked.
Funny
I mean,
story though. I was working at a diner, and all the waitresses used to make fun of me.
Mm-hmm.
They used to call me Daniel. They used to say, hey, does he look like Danny Radcliffe? He's like Harry Potter. So I never read Harry Potter. I was like,
Oh no!
F you, Harry Potter. F you.
See, you missed out
I
on
got
a lot.
I got engaged at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter in Florida.
That is amazing.
Sterling, oh, it gets better. Sterling put my ring on a wand and then gave me the wand. But my ring, I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera. It's an actual R2D2.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
So that would probably be, my engagement would probably be my second nerdiest moment. Getting engaged to Captain America with a Star Wars ring at Harry Potter World, that's top tier.
That definitely is. Wow. So then have you picked like what you're gonna do for when you get married then? Because obviously you gotta take it up a notch then, right?
So our ceremony itself is going to be pretty small. We're packaging it with the honeymoon, so we're probably going to be in like Belize or something like that. No friends, no family, just for us.
Jesus.
But when we come back, we're going to throw a huge cosplay reception party. Everyone's going to be encouraged to dress up. So that'll be our kind of big.
I thought you were just going to Belize just to go. I didn't hear you say like
Yeah, that's where they're going to get married.
I was like,
yeah, that's where we'll get married.
Belize, all that cosplay money. Like, they're just gonna go to Belize.
I was waiting for you to say the whole thing. Well, we met at Dragon's Con. Let's get married at Dragon's Con.
We thought about it, but so one of our close friends has this like superstition where anyone who either gets engaged or married at a con eventually splits up. So we were like, okay, just for you, Mandy, we won't do it.
You know what's funny thing though is Mike that we know that works at Disney. He does the Marvel podcast. Yeah. He's the guy who actually suggested to get a hold of you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mike, what's his name? Mike starts with an H.
Let me see if I can pull it up.
It's been a while.
Yeah, he's been down and out, but he does the Mighty Marvel podcast, and he was actually the one. He's the one who actually suggested you. He was like, yeah, you should get a hold of her. But that's how he met his wife, and they actually did get married. At C2E2.
Don't tell them I said that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm gonna tell him. I'll be like, oh, she said you're cursed.
No, I didn't mean it. I'm sure it'll work out. It's just for us. We just wanted to appease Mandy. That's all it was.
So now with you and Sterling, and it sounds like Mandy's another person who does cosplay with you then as well.
She's one of the main volunteers for Denver Comic Con, and she's just been a really, really great friend to us. So she does a little bit of cosplay, but she's actually more into like the organization side of things. She runs the cosplay contest at Denver Comic Con every year.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So how many people like that you have close knit actually go like? Because obviously I've seen you guys do a lot of the Borderlands.
Mm-hmm.
Like how many of you guys like a group ensemble for that?
We've got so many friends that cosplay, it's ridiculous. From all over the world, just people that we're super, super tight with. Pretty much anywhere we travel, whatever country we're in, we've got cosplay friends in Germany, in London, in Australia. So I don't even know that I could put a number on it because there's just so many of them.
I'm sorry, but like,
no, you're fine.
You got your real your everyday friends, your friends you grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
But none of them really, like Vinny, like, you're probably my geek boyfriend.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Like, I just met him. Well, we grew up together. We briefly hung out when we were, like, 6. Like,
Mm-hmm.
So it was, like, random. Bye. Like, for 17 years, and then finally we're, like, saw each other again at the comic shop and whatever.
Metropolis
and
Comics.
Like, there's not enough, like, like you don't like when you're like into this kind of stuff, like any, not just cosplay, like just everything,
Yeah.
like art or like video games, and like when you're like super hardcore, you don't have very many super hardcore. Like dude will come over and play a game with you, but he really doesn't like. He'll be like, "Yeah, this is cool," but he really doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you got your best friends, but they're not like as hardcore as you are about like nerd stuff. And
Yeah.
it's like
Mhm.
that's what I think PAX or any of that stuff, any of those cons. Is that what the cons are like? Like people that are
It probably feels like
hardcore?
family, you know?
It does, and especially when you're seeing cosplayers, because they're literally wearing something that you're in love with. And so
Mhm.
you can automatically say, we are best friends because you clearly love Borderlands as much as I do. To the point where you're willing to spend hundreds of dollars to look like a video game character. So, yeah, it's definitely 75,000 of your closest friends. That's
Damn.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Now, another question I have for you, going back to the whole cosplay aspect. Obviously, if you follow Rad Cosplay on Twitter, you see a lot of her photos and everything. And when you actually do them, who does your photography? I was curious about that.
I've got a lot of my good friends out here in Denver that do photography. Modified Photographics is one of my favorite. He's a good friend of mine. He's done most of my more recent Aphrodite photos, and we actually did a short video clip as Aphrodite 9 as well. He's also been a huge help to the charity. He goes along with us on some of the hospital visits and takes photos of us with the kids and things like that. So Modified Photographics, he's great. And also Tori Neal, We Neal's Photography. That's Weneals, and I'm sure you can find, I post his stuff quite a bit, but he's hands down probably one of the best photographers in the United States, and I'm very, very fortunate that he only lives 30 minutes away from me. So he's absolutely fantastic.
Everybody's moving out there.
Well, Colorado's getting busy.
Like there's tons of people from where
Oh,
we're from,
yeah.
like the heartland of Illinois. Like they're like, we're going to Denver, F it. Like they're gone, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like going to Denver. Like is that like everywhere? Like did you move there from somewhere?
Atlanta.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in the Midwest too. You're like, F this noise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
More southern
kind of.
east
but still
side.
kind of. It's like in the middle, right?
Yeah, Atlanta was awful. It was hot and humid, and I hate the heat, and I
Yeah.
love the snow, and so I was ready to get out. And then when I met Sterling, I was like, I've always wanted to go to Denver. I went out to visit and just fell in love with the place. I mean, just the
Wow.
view of the mountains
Yeah.
is gorgeous. The weather's perfect all the time. I love it.
That's amazing. So then, what are the current cons that you got lined up for this year then?
So I'll be at a couple of local Colorado cons. We've got at the end of February, Galaxy Fest is in Colorado Springs. We'll have a table there for the charity.
Springs? Wow.
Yeah.
My some family lives out there. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's not too far south of me, about an hour. And I will be at KatsuCon. It's my first year going to KatsuCon out in DC. So that's middle of February, and I'm very, very excited for that one.
That's great. That's great. Now, are you doing C2E2 this year or no?
I'm going to try to. I really, really want to. I've got a few people that really want me to come out, and I've got a lot of friends out there. So, yeah, I definitely need to. It's probably, now that I've gotten, so KatsuCon was probably top of my list, but now that I'm definitely going to that one this year, C2E2 is probably the next big one that I
we'll
want
be
to
up
do.
there this year, and we'd love
Yeah.
to.
Seriously?
Yeah, we're gonna be up
Let's
there.
do it, man.
Yeah.
Didn't I ask you already, like when we first started, if we ever wanted to do that?
Yeah, we actually got approval with it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we'll have a
That's
booth out
awesome.
there. So yeah, so
Yeah,
we'll
I'll definitely try and make it, and I'll try and stop by and say hey to you guys.
That's awesome. So now we've kind of got to the point where, with a little bit of Q&A that we've had, we got to know you a little bit better. Biggest thing is, I call this kind of the shameless promotion. So if you got anybody that you want to name out or anything that you want people to go and look at, this is the best time to do so.
Yeah, do it.
Besides my charity, which I've mentioned several times and I'll mention again, Cap for Kids, where just starting the new year, we're hoping to take on several families this year, so we definitely need people spreading the word, sending donations. We are on Amazon Smile too, if anyone wants to look us up there. Costs you nothing. You're buying a lot on Amazon. It does get a little bit of money our way, so that's fantastic. Other than that, I've actually got a podcast myself called Bitfaced.
What? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. I'm sorry. I got excited.
Toe down, boy. Toe down.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
so you
I'm
can.
just excited about the podcast. I'm sorry.
It's definitely a lot of fun. I work with two really great guys on there. We talk about a lot of great things. Our most recent episode, we actually played Dungeons and Dragons live on air.
That's my game.
So that was a lot of fun. So yeah, Bitfaced. We're on Facebook or just bitfaced.com.
Like it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you guys for having me.
You know, we're great. You know, it's awesome to have someone who's done cosplay, and you know, you've gotten so much influence, and so many people have spoken highly of you. So we're glad that we got to snag you up. So
yeah, glad.
we definitely appreciate it. And
Thank you.
I'd like to say that, Cody, I think I've run out of things to say.
I've run out of things to say too.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you guys next week, and look forward to seeing our new sponsor coming up.
Yeah.
All right.